Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rayge, and we are back today to cover the new Thunderstrike raids that are officially live in-game. But more importantly, guys, I want to walk you through how I'm going to be unlocking 7 red here of Thunderstrike. As you see here, we're actually targeting for 4 nodes per raid. So by the time that the event is done in a week here, we'll be actually accomplishing the 12,000 points or milestone 15, which will grant us the 7 red of Thunderstrike in addition to 440k of the T3 level 5 ions. Now, without question, you do need gear tier 20, guys. So again, if you're working on Professor Xavier and trying to build up characters along the way, there could be some tunes that help you along the way for Age of X, but I wouldn't entirely focus on this event unless you're already well unlocking Xavier or on track without having to take in some of that precious materials. As you'll see, that we'll be needing some gear tier 20 teams to get the 4 nodes done here. So without further ado, let's get started. Start with node 1 here. Okay, so for this first node, I opted to use my Super Scroll with the Night Stalkers team because keep in mind, this is node 1, and you don't want to be burning any of your strong synergistic chapter or Age of Annihilus teams here. So most of us should have Night Stalkers as their historical team here, especially since we're working on our way of immortal weapons. You should be able to get by. Work on that right side first and foremost. And again, I just have this sped up because the gameplay is not going to be that interesting here. But if you have a strong Oath and Blade, they're going to be carrying, as you see here. And Scroll synergizes with Night Stalkers really, really well. So if you're having any issues, as you can see, this team that we're up against with Brimstone do actually inflict quite a bit of debuffs on the team. If you have any issues, just back out. Make sure you don't actually record defeat because, like I said, mostly any team should be able to get this first node done. You just have to ensure that they have some pretty good HP, or maybe you can even take in some key mythic characters like Odin. If you have like characters like Mephisto, they would help out for sure. But again, I would highly recommend not using any of the Harbinger, Conqueror, or as well as Stormbound characters, just because we want to save their abilities, their HP and everything for the future nodes here. And again, you can see after you get through that initial wave here, Night Stalkers does thrive really well, and then Super Scroll synergy as well. And then at this point, it doesn't really matter, guys. Feel free to auto the rest of it because we won't be using these characters ever again after this initial node. And again, most of us should be able to get this done and getting the easy node 1 here finish. Okay, next node, we are going to be bringing in our Brimstone team, and you want to be focusing on the Sebastian Shaw because they are actually pretty potent. So we're going to start things off with that big ultimate from Daemon. I personally recommend using the Hellcat stun on one of the Sebastian Shaws right there, and then we are going to be targeting that right side. Thankfully, this is where it starts to get a little bit more difficult in terms of in overall challenging, but it's still not too bad. And just for reference, guys, my Daemon and Living Mummy are both gear tier 20. But the rest of the team are gear tier 19. So shouldn't be too bad because it's only the second node. But again, it's those Sebastian Shaws that you want to target. But at the same time, too, you don't want to take care of them right away because you're going to see that they're going to be here until the very end where we can build up some basic abilities. As you may or may not need to bring in your Brimstone later on if you're interested in doing that. I think node 4 is where you can utilize some Conqueror characters. Big ultimate by Doctor Strange right there. We're going to target the Shadow King and then just kind of clean up here, right? Again, it's not a big deal. You can leave the Sebastians for the end because, to be honest, I mean, outside of their stun and a little bit of burst damage here and there, they're okay to be left at the very end here where you can build up some ability energy. And again, I'm personally not going to be carrying because only one I'm interested in is later on. I will be using my Daemon again, so you might want to save the ultimate if you want to prep in advance. That's the only thing I would say right there. Otherwise, we're gonna be aiming for the 4 nodes as I pointed out at the start of my video because 4 nodes per raid is gonna get us the 12, and that's what we need to get the 7 red here of Thunderstrike. So at this point, we're just kind of cleaning things up here, Sebastian Shaw, and then, like I said, you should be focusing on using your basic abilities so that way, if you want to use these characters later on, they're going to have their abilities from the get-go, and that should be good practice for this as well. If you're planning to go higher up in the raids, and for myself personally, I do have a target here, so that's why it's not really a big deal. But Daemon will be used later on for myself. And then Living Mummy, he's really good because he does soak up quite a bit of damage. You can see at the very end here, you can just get a sense of like how tanky these Sebastians are, right? Just to see how much damage they're taking. So just gives you a sense of already the difficulty of them ramping up here. But yeah, like I said, should be giving you enough time here to build some ability energy. And now we can actually head over here into the next node here being the, I believe it's the Harbinger. Okay, node 3. Vigilante plus Quasar was able to get the job done for myself here. and a couple of key things that you might want to be paying attention to when you start off, right? I really like the fact that we didn't use any of these characters, but I also brought in Sue Storm as well, guys, because she's going to have a big ultimate that we can take advantage of. So start things off with the big ultimate on that right side, followed by Silver Sable's ultimate as well, and it's just a lot of good damage across the board. But if you guys bring in Sue like myself, her ultimate's going to really hurt all these characters. And again, just be mindful of the fact that if you use her ult here and you're planning to bring her in later on in another node, you might pay the price because there's not really enough time here to get her energy back up. So just be mindful of that. I like Vigilante here because most of us already have many of these characters brought up to gear tier 20 for Age of X progression. So I just wanted to take advantage of the value there. And as you can see, we're just going through here now. Obviously, the challenge here is the super scroll that you may have to deal with. I personally recommend using the ult and the stun on Peter B. Parker, so that way he's not providing a bit of sustain for the team. This Spire Society team is actually pretty dangerous at the end here if you're not careful. Hence, the stun on Peter B is really good. And now we're kind of just cleaning things up. Now, just a little bit of direction for you guys planning in advance. If you're intentionally using this team later on in another node, I would recommend saving their abilities. For myself, you'll see later on, I do bring in my Sue for another node as a sack. Same with Quasar. So just something to be mindful of there. If you are doing that, be careful with the abilities that you're using. And you can see here, there's not really much you can do with Sue because after her big ultimate, I mean, it's just really hard for the Fantastic Four characters to gain ability energy. They just don't have the sustain like the raid characters do in these raid expected game modes, right, that they thrive in. So, even characters like Silver Sable, she still needs like characters like Elektra to get that back. So if you have Elektra at gear tier 20, it would be actually a lot easier, but that's a very expensive investment, right? So that's 3 nodes, guys. That's 3 nodes done. Now we just have to worry about the last and final node here. Okay, so this is, in my opinion, the harder ones that I've done because I think maybe just because of the mix of synergies that we have. So what I decided to do for this was using a sack team here that you can see. Fantastic Four, Quasar, in addition to Daemon. Remember, this is where gear tier 20 is starting to be a requirement here. So that's why I was thinking, okay, well, if we use all our burst abilities at the beginning here, the goal is really to take down Old Man Logan. You can see he's kind of a wrecking ball here, right? I think if you have the full Insidious 6 at gear tier 20, you could probably one-shot this. But for myself, I don't have Shocker at gear tier 20. I have most of them, and that's where you'll see in the second attack here, it's going to be my Insidious 6 cleaning things up. So you can see here, I'm just bringing in all my characters and trying to focus in on Old Man Logan. I'm not really doing anything else to any of the other enemies. My goal solely is to take down Logan because you can just see how powerful he is, and he's quite tanky with the supportive capabilities from the Hank Pyms. Obviously, you have characters like, Victoria Hand also providing support, Hyperions. But yeah, we were able to actually get the bleed on him, and you can see Logan finally got taken care of. And I'm really just focusing on some damage dealers now, just clean things up, because the more damage I can do, the easier it will be for a sack attempt here. In terms of just bringing in my Insidious to clean things up, right? So that's why we focus on Omega Red there. So it's looking pretty good. We took down 2 of the heavy hitters, but yeah, there's just so much support from these characters that it's gonna be really difficult in order to one-shot it. So we take the defeat there, and now we go in with Insidious plus Blastar, because that way for myself anyways, I'm planning to bring up Insidious for the Age of X anyway. Sorry, not Age of X, the Blue Marvel event. So it was nice that we could take advantage of that. But Blastar is nice because he slots in as a 5th Insidious character, so the benefits are all still there as well. So now, guys, it's just going through the motions of just cleaning things up here. So in hindsight, I'm watching my gameplay video here. I kind of wish I focused more on Hank Pym at the beginning, because you can see here my initial damage is really kind of situated at Lady Bullseye, and that was kind of the wrong approach because she is quite tanky. But then you have the Hank Pyms constantly providing supportive buffs, right? I should have probably focused more on the Hank Pyms. As you'll see later on, I pivot a bit. Thankfully, we do have Vulture with the turn control a little bit there just to help us out. But yeah, that's probably a lesson I wish if I could go back, probably could have made this a little bit more cleaner and more smooth. And then later on, I just pivoted over because I was thinking, wait a second, I should be focusing on the support characters like Hank, because Hank is truly underrated in this node. He's just giving buffs left and right. He's providing that sustain that this team needs, and they're not even, Hank's not even a raid character, but they're still really resilient because of the 2 Hank Pyms kind of comboing with each other. And that's why that Old Man Logan was so dangerous to deal with, and I'm glad that the sack worked. I had to try a few times, but it paid off, right, for sure. So it kind of looks a little sketchy here in terms of just, you can see the amount of debuffs they're placing on us. And it actually looks like one of our characters is going to die, but thankfully we do have Blastar with kind of the big drain abilities that he's capable of. We're able to finish off the Hank, and then you can see here, once one of the Hanks was taken care of, it does actually snowball quite a bit easier here, and that's where I was like, oh shoot, I probably should have just pivoted it quicker to the supportive characters as opposed to, you know, the raid bonus characters that I was kind of situated on there. Hank taken care of there. And then we still have the Hyperions. Thankfully, they don't do a lot of damage, but they are pretty annoying to deal with. But thankfully, we now finally have the 5 bomb bursts from Blastar there. So he's able to do some really good damage and unleash that on the new wave. And even though this is a new wave, you can see how heavily hit they were. So yeah, that's kind of the walkthrough, guys. That's the 4 nodes there. And again, I'm going to rinse and repeat this for the next week here. And that's going to get me the 12 nodes, which essentially will unlock the 12th milestone or whatever, which gives you the 7 red of Thunderstrike in addition to those purple 5 ions, guys. So there you have it. That's kind of the 4 nodes there that I personally recommend. And again, even with just 4 nodes, there was still quite a bit of investment in Gear Tier 20 characters. So it is a bottleneck, guys. If you're focused on Age of X and getting Xavier, I definitely would not recommend this event. But if you already unlocked Xavier and you're just trying to maximize on Red Star opportunities for Thunderstrike, remember that this is also not the last time he's coming back. This raid will likely return, and it probably will be easier, as we kind of seen with past events where when they return, there's a higher Red Stars at a lower difficulty that's situated there. So there you have it, guys. 4 nodes completed here. Hopefully this helps you guys out. Best of luck in the raid event. Let me know down in the comments below. You guys a fan or you're not? What teams worked, what didn't work? Maybe we can share some secrets here for the community as well. Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.